You know, when I'm researching to make videos for my YouTube channel, I do come across some of the propagandists in China who near enough seem to get paid by the CCP to do propaganda with and putting it on a banned or blocked platform on YouTube, which obviously is banned in China and other places like Iran, etc. You could say these are countries which are controlled, seriously controlled, the authoritarian kind of government there. One of them I would like to show you today is a South African guy who lives in, where? In China, yep, in Qingdao. And he has got his arse right up the backside of Xi Jinping. And this is how he treats some of his viewers.
Okay, you fools, I really want to try and understand you. Why are you pissed off today?
He goes on and says, "You fool." Would you watch a channel that calls you, "You fool"? It's sort of like annoying. But this is, you could say, the freedom of speech. Now, he is in China. He is using a illegal application in China called a VPN, a virtual private network, which jumps over the great Chinese firewall. And with that, broadcast all these messages of anti, and near enough you could say, hate Western media or hate Western whatever, governments, etc. Now, let's be really honest. Do we really like our government in America, in England, in Japan, in Australia? And a lot of the conversations down the pub, so to speak, would be, no, we don't. And we would always complain about it, but we have to live with it. It's the same in China, but you can't complain about it. And if there is a vote, if you're happy with the government, this is done under your ID. So if you click no, they're going to give you problems, etc., etc., etc. And we can see the actual evidence of how this is, but we do get people like Mr. Jerry Goode saying that everything is fine here in China. Now, for the average daily life, I would sort of agree. The only difference is you just accept what's going on and you just don't talk about it on social media. So there is a lack of freedom of speech. Here, I am in Cambodia. I would say, yeah, this is a, how to say it, not the same as a country like in America, but there is freedom. Yeah, there is like freedom that I can do this, talking about, you could say, Xi Jinping or the North Korean dictator, Fat Boy, what do you call him, Fat Boy Kim. There's another one called Mr. Jerry's Gray, his name is. Now, I have put him on my channel before. This is a guy like this. Let me show him to you first of all.
Wherever you are, welcome to another edition of My Take on China, and please.
He's a very clever guy, very intellectual, very wise indeed. But he just puts out false information. One time, just as a pure example, the South China Sea, the man-made islands that the Chinese government built to put on military, he would deny that there's military bases there. So why would the Chinese Air Force, so to speak, buzz some US planes who are just doing their, well, whatever they do? It's no freedom of passage. So if it was military, yeah, they would block, and they sort of do as well. But he would deny all that. Now, there's one more that I want to spend a bit more time on today, is this guy.
Hi friends, hello and welcome to another video. In today's clip, I want to talk...
Yes, he does, I'll say that again. Yes, he does look like a Colombian drug lord. He does actually come from Colombia. He has been an English teacher in China for years, and his name is Femube, whatever like that. And he would sort of, in his latest video, he would say that Twitter blocks Twitter in China. Why? There's a mass market there. You can quite easily go to some websites here. Government blocking access of tweets. In some cases, governments and authorities, you can read it there. Now, he would say that Twitter or X blocks X by themselves, which is the worst business decision for 1.4 billion people. It's not, it's the government. I have searched the internet and I cannot find anywhere that Twitter blocks Twitter in China or Facebook blocks Facebook in China. Why would they? It's just a multi-billion-dollar loss if they choose to, if they do have access. This is the whole thing. Way back in 2008, you could be in China and you could Google easily. Yeah, you could Google something. In China, they still have Google servers. So if you wanted to change your DNS on your computer, you can still use 8.8.8.8 on your DNS, giving you a different router. You could say internet service router, not your router at home or your router or your modem or whatever you want to call it. There. So it is. So why is this guy actually saying this? Now, I'm not going to go through all the clips of it. You can go and check it out yourself. I will leave the sort of names in the description below. You can go to YouTube and search it for yourself. I think it's time for a break. Then he sort of denied what happened on June the 6th, 1989, in a place in Beijing or Peking called Tiananmen Square, where he said there's no mass shootings. But here's video footage of the BBC in Tiananmen Square in 1989. You can listen and hear it for yourself.
The noise of gunfire rose from all over the center of Peking.
Now, granted, I know some people's defense saying it didn't all happen in Tiananmen Square, and you would be absolutely right. It would be around that area. It's just called that name for it. Am I making an excuse? Well, I'm not making an excuse for a government that decided to open fire on its public and getting rid of 10,000 citizens. And the BBC footage, even if you may not like the BBC, whatever, there it is in black and white. You can hear it, you can see it. That's the hardcore evidence. And he's just denying this. If you go on the Chinese search engine called Baidu, you could say it's a little bit like Google. You type in Tiananmen Square, it's just going to be Tiananmen Square is the place to visit, but it wouldn't have, if you put in Tiananmen Square 1989, it would still have the images of Tiananmen as it is today. It's part of the Chinese government and all that kind of malarkey. Now, then he goes on just rabbiting on about nothing, about Instagram, etc., etc. But I think it's time for another break. I've just got a message in. I'll be back very quickly. Okay, so yes, I am rabbiting on. I would highly recommend you go to a friend's channel of mine called Free China. He lived in China for 7 years, quite recently, and he lived in Taiwan, and the town of Taichung, I think it was, for over 2 years. Vast experience. And if you watch his channel, he's an English guy, you watch his channel, he shows you sort of evidence of this and gives you how it really is. He speaks Chinese, so he understands what's going on. I don't speak Chinese, but I can get the information from my friends who live in Hong Kong, Shanghai, for example, what life is really like. And I would speak to them using like Telegram. It's sort of like Twitter, and it's really popular. You could say here in Asia, not necessarily to hide anything, it's just a really convenient application. So do go and check out Free China, and you can check out Free China. I'm trying to make this video better. I'm getting lots of messages in while I'm doing this. So you can see basically this internet army who puts in the propaganda using a website like YouTube, and Twitter or X, which is blocked, banned, whatever, in China by the government, not by the actual not by Facebook itself, or not Facebook itself, or Twitter or X by itself. It's done by the government, the same as Iran, and they are sort of like denying that. And they are using a VPN, again, which is illegal in China, to broadcast this message. They won't be put in the nick, for example, because, well, they're doing propaganda. It is good for China. What I wish is just show videos of China, show what it's really like. Some tourists would go there and they give you the honest opinion, like they couldn't find, I watched one the other day where they couldn't find a toilet. Yep. Now, if you go to China, you would just want to go and see the sights and you want to see what it's really like. You're not going to be a journalist or an investigational independent journalist finding out the sort of secrets. If you get caught and they find the evidence of it on your GoPro or your camera, well, that's going to be a headache for yourself. So do go to China, do enjoy, and I wish more would just not a government tour of Xinjiang or a sensitive area, but just in general. And I wish, but they can't do it because they just end up in trouble. Go to the places in Xinjiang, not the tourist areas. We've seen it a million times. Fine, that's okay. Yeah. But the areas where the news people, the journalists who get there, when they go there and go to a sensitive area, basically the minders will go, boom, no, you can't film, and give no reason why. They just say, no, you can't film, go away. And they would be harassed to move their cameras away because they don't want to cause any trouble. And take it from me, you don't want to be causing any trouble in a communist country like China. This is something I also found. Why doesn't China learn from other communist countries? Not Russia, that was, but places like Vietnam. Vietnam is, some people would disagree with me, but Vietnam is a communist country, but it has total freedom. Near enough, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Twitter, you can speak quite openly. I'm not too sure about the government, and people are actually genuinely happy. There's very few restrictions related to it. That's where China should learn from. If you want to remain with your communism, that's okay. But look at Vietnam and how well that is doing. And then, but you would never see anyone criticize Vietnam who's based in China, for example. I'm rabbiting on, and I will leave it there. Do be aware, basically, of this army of internet, the army of internet shills, basically, putting in propaganda, using an illegal VPN in China, which the government just closed a blind eye to, even though they made it illegal, to put all this rubbish on. And they are exercising their freedom of speech, but they're exercising the freedom of speech when you're not allowed to, near enough, exercise the freedom of speech on sensitive subjects. So they exercise the freedom of speech in the opposite way to what we do. And they make it really, really complicated to understand. And why can't it be just simple so people can understand? If that makes sense to you. I want to watch a video, I want to concentrate on it, but as soon as you do complicated words, complicated English, complicated theories, etc., you just lose the interest in it because it starts to not make sense. But people sort of believe them, and that's what sort of really frustrates me. Yeah, definitely time to go. I will say bye-bye for now. Thank you.